Hi, I'm Rip. Got another quick tip for you. We're working on our pool. I've got a Jacuzzi. It's a laser 192 sand filter. Had an issue with trying to replace hoses on the head of it. This is actually, it's actually glued. The fitting is actually glued into the cover, which I didn't think. I thought it would just thread out. And of course, after attempting to get it out, I couldn't get it out. So I actually was able to find a replacement cap for this, but I wanted to show you exactly how you can replace the cap and pull the handle off and change everything onto the new cap. It's going to take a bunch of screws. I've already removed a bunch here, and then thought, after I tried to find it and I couldn't find it, I thought I'd help you out by showing this quick video to where you can take a number 3 Phillips and you can use an 11 millimeter or a 7/16 millimeter ratchet and socket for just pulling this apart, and take all the screws and all the nuts off all the way around the perimeter here. Once all the nuts and screws are out of there, you can just kind of jiggle this, pull this out. And just lift the cover straight off of there. When you lift the cover off of there, you'll notice that there's the changes that from the backwash to the filter and everything in place. The handle is on the cover holding this together. What I find all of it is where they want to sell the whole unit together, and you don't need to do that. You can actually pull the pin from this, take this all apart, and just change this plastic cover piece. And that's why I want to make this quick video to show you exactly how you do that. So the next problem we run into, of course, is pulling this all apart, which is there's a pin that's on top and it's a spring-loaded pin. So I had to figure out how you can release the tension on the pin, on the pin and the spring, and either a hockey puck or actually even a roll of tape, hockey tape, just any kind of tape where you can set it down in place there. Because what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to push down on that and see how I can release the tension on that pin there, so I can actually drive it out with a punch. I am using a 3/16 punch. And all I'm doing is just actually holding it in place with the tape underneath there to try to release some of the tension so I can drive the pin out. Pins out, pull the punch back out. As I lift up on this, this is going to release the pressure, and you can take the cap off. And actually push this down out through there. Okay. So what I want to make sure of is, as the pin came out and I'm taking this top off, okay, there's a orientation, kind of white plastic kind of line here that's on the valve that changes below. And we can also see that there's a white thing that's on the point that's here. I'm going to make sure that when we're putting it back together in the filter position, lifting it up and flipping it over, that's the orientation we want to put it back together in. I set that down. There's a washer that's on the top of this. There's another washer that's on top of that. We want to lift these both up and save those to go on the other cap. And we can now lift this cap up and away. If we look on the replacement cap, We're just going to kind of slide that into position to be able to replace those two. So now I'm going to clean this up a little bit, and I want to put some O-ring grease. I use this super low O-ring grease so that I can clean this up there and kind of re-grease it so everything will move nice and easily. I won't let you suffer through watching me clean and grease this, and I'll be back in a sec. All right, and now we're going to slide this back on top. Remember the orientation of that plastic piece was facing out toward where the filter is there. I'm putting the two washers back on top in the middle here. Now comes the tough part. Line this up here. And we're going to try to compress the spring enough to where this pin will go back in. Both sides. And the reason I used the hockey tape down underneath here is that I didn't want to do any damage, obviously, to where this is, because this seal is what redirects the backwash, the filtering, the drain, where it needs to go. So if we were to damage that or tear that, of course, we'd be leaking out into a different backwash hose or somewhere else that we don't want it to go. And so now we can take this. I'm going to put some grease on around here. I'm just going to put a light coat of this grease. Just to make it a little bit slippery again. So when we change the handle and change the setting of the handle, just have a little bit of silicone on it. Just both seal and make it a little bit easier for the handle to change positions. And we'll go do the same thing on the assembly that's on the filter itself. Good. I like to also put a little bit of grease. There is an O-ring that's here, a rubber O-ring. Make sure that's in the channel. And I also like to put a little grease just like around the surfaces of where that white rubber kind of gasket material is going to ride when you go to switch the different positions of this. I'm just going to make sure this lines up with where it was before. This one's a little bit easier than most because if you notice, you got a square cut out here. So all you need to do is just make sure that the square piece lines up on there. And then I'm going to put all my screws and nuts back on through here. As simple as that. You can just change the cover assembly and not have to buy the whole kit. Hope this helped. Have a great day. Thanks to my beautiful camera woman and wife.
You're welcome.